Param pam pam pam. I'm loving it. Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're gonna be talking about Maniac Cop 2 Duos. Okay, I have a question. When does this horror franchise actually become horror? Because I'm quite confused at this point. Listen up. So, Maniac Cop 2. This movie was directed by William Lustig once again. It was written by Larry Cohen and it stars our protagonists from the first film. Obviously, they're back for more. I don't know if I'm gonna spoil by saying this, but they get killed off pretty early on. So now we have our new detectives taking over. So what's the story in this film? Last time, in the story of Maniac Cop, we covered that Maniac Cop is this maniac that goes on a rampage because he was like let down by the justice system of the world. He killed innocent people for no apparent reason because he was a maniac. In this film, it's actually quite different. A little time passed since the last film. I don't know how much time exactly because they never really specify. They say that Matt Cordell died 2 years ago, but actually they say that he died in the prison, so I didn't really understand if they meant like did he die back in the day and 2 years after that he came back to life, because that also was unspecified. But anyways, I guess some time passed and now our main heroes from the first film, they have been cleared from all the charges that they had, which I don't know how it happened. Okay, listen up. This is such a plot hole in the whole film because Maniac Cop, nobody really saw him. Like the only people that saw him were the main heroes. So I was like, okay, I'm interested in seeing what will happen with them because they were at the pier, they did the whole amazing stunt scene, okay? They went underwater. When they pulled the truck out, Maniac Cop was nowhere to be seen. So I was like, okay, well, what does this mean actually? Because now you have Maniac Cop who, to the knowledge of the people, he doesn't exist because nobody saw him. But you're freeing two suspects in a murder case that involves multiple policemen, a detective, a whole police office was murdered in the last film, and you're letting them go of these charges, which I know that to us, the audience, obviously they are not, but you can't just let them go of the charges because at the end of the day, nobody actually did find out if they were lying or not. So to me that was so unbelievably 80s or 90s, like because the film is from the 90s now, and I was like, yo, this is okay. I'm not gonna think about that. But anyways, so the Maniac Cop comes back from the dead because he was never found actually, so he can come back. And well, he comes back in a big way because I'm gonna spoil this for you. He kills off all of our main cast. Like all of the main cast from the first film gets killed off spectacularly, might I add, and we have a new team that replaces them pretty much. This time around, the main protagonist is actually Detective Sean McKinney, or McKinney? Yeah, I think it's McKinney. He's played by the actor Robert Davi, who actually plays a very cool, rough police officer or a detective, I might add. And I think his role in the movie is actually really good. Now that Maniac Cop is back, Detective Sean is pretty much the only one that believes the story of the two original protagonists, and he's the only one that is on their side with the whole case. So now that Maniac Cop comes back and kills our main heroes from the original film, it's up to our detective Sean McKinney to actually find the Maniac Cop and deal with him once and for all. This is essentially the story of Maniac Cop 2. Now, the interesting thing about this one is that, well, Maniac Cop is back. He has this mask over his face, which in the first film I thought it was kind of cool. The whole phase they were going for, it wasn't too undead, it wasn't too supernatural, but they also had like a spark of, hey, he might be alive, he might be dead, I don't know, you figure that out. Well, in the sequel, he's pretty much like a undead, kind of a villain, which is a very interesting twist, but honestly, I thought that the makeup on Maniac Cop was pretty bad in this one. I kinda liked the idea where they were going for, but I didn't feel that they made it good enough, I don't know if it was because I watched the Blu-ray version or something like that, but to me the mask looked pretty fake. It essentially just looked like a huge mask on top of his head, which I don't think it was very menacing, and I think if they just kept the original design but like made better scars, I think that would have worked perfectly fine for the sequel, but they decided to go with a full-on mask, which okay. Anyways, overall the story of Maniac Cop 2 is, this time around it's bigger, better I think. The whole film essentially is much more bigger than the previous one, not only in scope but in characters, in ideas that they were trying to develop. And this time around, Maniac Cop is not just a maniac that goes on the loose. This time Maniac Cop has actually a final goal, which last time it was like, oh yeah, he's gonna kill the president because he was the one that's put him in jail or something like that. And this time around it's like, Maniac Cop is coming for you guys, the prisoners that actually killed him. So I think that this motivation behind him was much better than the previous one. So there we go, Maniac Cop 2. Overall the story, I think it's better than the last one. It's obviously more full as a film. Yeah, I think sadly they killed Bruce Campbell, but yeah, I think that the acting was actually done better, and also the whole story flowed much better, which brings me to actually talking about the stunts and the action in the film. So obviously Maniac Cop 2 has officially just become a full-on action film. The stunts in this film are something that I haven't seen done in any other film. Like, you have this cop that gets handcuffed to a steering wheel and then let go on the streets, and she's on the outside handcuffed to the inside of the car, and this is freaking amazing. Like, you would see that she goes down a freaking highway and there's cars moving by. That stunt was amazing, and that's not the only amazing stunt in the film. You have bigger chase scenes, you have a lot of more car chases, you have a lot of more action, a lot of more shootouts. So in my opinion, this movie just became from a horror, it's turned into a complete action film, no holds barred. I think that's actually pretty cool to see a horror icon essentially becoming just an action movie star, basically. I think it's pretty fun to see this undead monster, kind of like Jason Voorhees, but he goes on this monstrous rampage and it's like an action film. Cops are chasing him down, they like shoot each other out. It's absolutely bonkers. That's what I'm gonna say. And yeah, you also have this scene, I was gonna say cutscene, you also have this scene of Maniac Cop just being set on fire and he goes on a rampage, and it's not like, oh, he set on fire, punches somebody in the face and he goes out and put him out of the flames. No. This fucking character goes on a rampage while he's on fire, in prison, mind you. This is some of the craziest action I've seen, and I think that the stunt team for the film really pushed what they could do as much as they can, and I think that it really shows, and it was really nice ride overall. I really loved it. It was just amazing to see these stunts being performed. I'm a action movie nerd, not only a horror nerd. I can speak very loudly about this being a great action film. It's like a summer blockbuster combined with a little spark of Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees somewhere there. Yeah, I think it was just a very fun ride overall. Anyways, so let's jump into the cinematography of the movie. I think the cinematography was also done very well. You can actually see the budget going up in this film, which was very interesting because you essentially don't see that very often. It was just nice to see that overall they had a bigger budget, but they also did more with that budget. It wasn't just the numbers cranking up just because. They just tried some new stuff, which I really appreciate in this film. So in my opinion, it was a great watch all the way through. And that's what I can say about the cinematography. Now about the music, once again, I don't think that the main theme fits the Maniac Cop. I even think that it fits him even less with this film, because this film is even more action and more shootouts and more stuff. And when you hear this somber theme song of the Maniac Cop, I don't think it feels very in place. I guess it is what it is. I can't just... Just leave it. Okay, just leave it. So yeah, well, I don't know. I was just surprised by this film and how much action there was, and how much I got into this film to start up and watching horror movie classic icons, which are like cult classics, and I really wanted to watch a lot of the films that were also included in the video game Terrordrome, which I'm planning on playing. But I ended up in this full-on action movie franchise, which I think it gets misrepresented by people calling it a horror film, because I really don't see the horror. I'm sorry, I really don't. Overall, I actually thought that this movie was better than the first one by a slight amount. I think just the first one was pretty good and it was pretty stunning for its time. I think it did a lot of things well, and I just think that this one does a lot of things better than that one. So I'm gonna give it 1 point higher than the previous one. The previous one was a 7 out of 10. So Maniac Cop 2 gets an 8 out of 10 for the time being. So if you like action films, I would actually recommend this one. It's a good cop murder mystery with some spark of horror, but not that much, as I said. And I think it's a very fun watch. And although I dived in expecting a cult classic that I might or might not like, I ended up really enjoying this franchise. So honestly, I cannot wait to get to the third one. And yeah, I don't know what to expect actually, because they just wiped the slate clean in the second film and they got new characters. So will they do that again in the third one? I guess we'll find out, because although they killed Matt Cordell this time, this is not the last we'll see of him, because at the last scene, the last moment, we saw him break through his coffin, take his badge. I guess he's ready for the third one. So the third one being the final one, I guess we'll find out what happens at the end of Matt's journey. I think that's a good finale. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Thank you for being here. Have a nice day. See you in the next one. Bye.